Hey everybody, we're in the octave of Christmas. It's December 28th, Wednesday, and time for another midweek chat. Here I am. Should I adjust that a little bit? It would look a little better if it were a little bit higher. I hate to mess too much with this. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess that's exactly how it was, huh? Anyway, so this is the mighty Chippewa River behind me. I am... See the far shore there is Upper Campus of UW Eau Claire. Go upstream a little bit and you're at the main campus. This is the site I was remembering as I was driving down here of one of the dumbest things I ever did in my life, and that's ranking pretty high. Can you see the water? You probably can't. See how it's kind of running there? Anyway, we had this long, like how cold it was last week here. It's a little above freezing right now today. We had this cold snap, like many days below zero. And I got this idea in my head. If I'm ever gonna walk across the Chippewa River, now's my chance. I was the assistant pastor at the Newman on campus here. And, the Chippewa River was frozen over. It was so cold. And it seems like it kind of is here, but you can tell there's a lot of open spots too. And I thought, I think I'm gonna try it. So I tried. So I dressed really. I thought, well, if the ice feels a little weak, then I'll, turn around. But I come down and I just get down there and it's just rock solid ice. I thought, man, maybe I can walk across the Chippewa River. I could tell generations would tell the tale, and. So I get out and there's a little bit of open water, a little bit like this, but it was much colder, much more frozen, much thicker ice than right now. And I thought, well, that's interesting. There's open water, and I kind of kept walking toward it. I was like drawn by the beauty of it. There was like lapping up because it was so cold, like where that little bit of open water was, it would like hit the water, the ice in front of it, and it would like kick up a paper thin sheet of glass. And like very cold days tend to be, it was clear, so it was blue sky, sun was out. That's the south over there, so the sun was coming in and just glistening. And those little ice, it was like one sheet of paper thin ice on top of the next, kind of piled up, and the sun was hitting it, and it was just glistening. It's really one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So it's kind of drawn me in, and I get closer to it and closer to it, and the ice, it just feels, you can see where the story's going. The ice feels just rock solid. There's no creaking. There's nothing. I'm like, wow, this is, and then be downstream and to the left, there was a path where I thought, well, I could probably walk across the Chippewa River. So after just getting really close to those sheets of ice and just kind of staring at them for a long time because they were so beautiful, probably out about 30 yards. I don't know, maybe not quite that far, 20 yards. Anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to try to walk. I'm going to go back up a little bit, and I'm going to walk around this open water and walk across the river. And I took one step back and went right through the ice. And man, was I panicked. I was like, but I think I don't know if I was panicked first or I felt my feet hit the bottom first. I think I was panicked first. And the water was about up to just below my waist. And so was I lucky? Yeah. Because it could have been deeper. I had no idea how deep it was. Because if you fall through the ice in a lake, that's one thing. That's not good. But if you fall through the ice on a river with a current, you go under and then you go under the, right? So I would have been under this ice going down. I haven't had a nightmare about it, but that'd be a nightmare to have, wouldn't it? So anyway, I survived, except I got out and it was like minus 10 degrees or something. And I'm about, I don't know if it's a full mile from camp, but a good half mile at least from where I lived. And, I get out of the water and, that's the other thing. I was able to push myself right up and the ice didn't break. So it was really thick ice. I must have just hit a weak spot. I just push myself up, I scramble up, I get up to like kind of where I'm standing right now, and I head for home. And within 10 seconds, I couldn't bend my knees because my pant legs were iced and frozen. So I'm kind of like, if these were my legs, and I'm trying to walk with these stiff legs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't get frostbite or whatever. So I make it back. I kind of run, and with those iced legs, kind of just a strange kind of run, and I get back, and and there's Father Chev's. So I'm on the 3rd floor, and Father Chev's is on the 2nd floor, and he goes, "How you doing?" I go, "Yeah, I'm doing good." I didn't walk right by him. He was in the other room, the stairwell, and so I didn't tell him. I think I told him later that night, but I was pretty embarrassed because it was really a dumb thing. So I got up and I took a shower, and man, my legs itched and itched and itched. I don't know if I've ever itched that much because they were like really cold. Anyway, it's a long story to tell, but I just remembered it sitting here. Man. So don't walk on river water. Any fool knows that, but it took me a while to learn it, I guess. I was only 33 years old, so. Hey, but let's get to business. Some parish news. Okay, so religious education, not tonight. Enjoy Christmas break. But on January, a week from today, January 4th, religious ed will be up and running again. Between then and now, Saturday, we're going to have our New Year's Eve root beer potluck party. Shirley let me know that she is going to provide a whole mess of pulled pork from Famous Dave's. So, that's good. So we have that, and we'll have root beer. If anybody wants to bring any other kind of potlucky treats, go ahead and be my guest, and if you don't, maybe people will be at Mass, and I'll just tell them, hey, there's a party. We hope people will come. So, tradition we started a little while ago to get a quarter keg of root beer and pass it around and enjoy the New Year's Eve, right? It'll also be in church, the feast of Mary, Mother of God. I almost said Mary, Mother of the Church, but that's a parish in La Crosse. So, so that's a big deal this Saturday. So after Mass, come to Saturday Mass and stay for a little bit of a potluck party and toast in the new year of 2023. Mary Kolstad, our music director, said a youth choir. We tried to get that going in November, and it kind of fell through. I think the college student who was going to do that got real busy with getting close to graduation and finals and a lot of stuff. So I don't know if it's she or someone else is going to pick it up, but we're going to start practicing January 4th, a week from today, 5:30 to 6:15. If anybody wants to have their children in the youth choir, I don't have the ages. I don't know what youth means. If it means 2nd grade through high school, I'm not sure about that. But so inquiring, you can always give a call. But I hope that happens. We'll have them at Mass maybe at the end of January. Parish. I mentioned the parish potluck. So sometimes you get a little down after Christmas. It's like Christmas, yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's cold, and now what? We have to wait 3 months before it gets warm again. The days will be getting longer. They're already getting longer. That's nice. But we're gonna have a parish party. We're gonna do it in early February, mid-February. That's probably ideal. But I'm gonna be on leading a pilgrimage to the Holy Land the first half of February. So we are going to do it, and then Lent comes. We thought maybe not have a parish party during Lent. Maybe, yeah. Anyway, it's just a laborious process of who's available. Our key organizers, Bonnie and Moira, had their conflicts. I had my conflicts, and people had calendar conflicts. Anyway, we're going to do it January 21st after Mass. That's a Saturday, so January 21st after Mass will be kind of a parish party. Particularly in appreciation for people who in little or small ways have kind of pitched in to help make St. James an active, vibrant place, and keeping our heads above water anyway. And then, just really anybody that wants to celebrate some community time and music and food and all that. So we're going to have our parish party on January 23rd. I just, speaking of Bonnie, her husband Jerry, I didn't know this, but someone showed me. He was on the front page of the Leader Telegram on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve with his granddaughter Rebecca, and they were making cookies. And it was like a Christmas stories of making cookies with Papa. So it was really a beautiful picture of the two of them. So it's always nice to see one of your own right there on the front page of the newspaper. Snow guy, hey, I just, God bless Paul. He he said he could do this, and then now he's got carpal tunnel, and the machines are breaking, and his company wanted to hire him full time, or he was working part time. So now he's going to have two full time jobs. Basically, he can't be our snow guy anymore to take care of our sidewalks and stuff. So, and Ann said, well, I think there was this guy had called, and she couldn't think of it. And then she goes, I think it's this name. I go, yeah, well, that's probably Bill. I'll call Bill. I know Bill. And he sounds real interested. I think he's going to do it. So we had like a day of panic, like we don't have a snow guy. And then we remembered Bill, and I think we have a snow guy. And Tim came over and helped him learn the ropes with the machine and how it works. And Bill used to work for John Deere, so this is a plus. This is a plus. So anyway, really appreciate all the work that Paul put in and all the frustrations. Kind of one of these unflappable guys. Just deal with what happens and don't panic about stuff. So you'd be a good dad to Killian and any others that they may have. Anyway, so that's good. Thanks, Bill, for your interest in that. Oh, hey, I'm cool wearing this cool hat, right? It's a Christmas present from Christine, not Christine on the parish staff, but a different Christine in the parish. And I thought I lost it. I've been losing hats like crazy, and I don't know why. I don't know if I don't put them deeply enough in my pockets. But last year I'm gonna buy like 8 hats, and so they're still scattered around. But I don't want to lose this. This was handmade, Christmas present, and I thought it was gone, and then I found it under the driver's seat of the car. Right? Anyway. It's kind of a nice hat, isn't it? It's good for today. It's a heavy hip. It's not real heavy, and you don't get a lot of hat head from it because it fits. It's that perfect balance of a good tight fit, but not like too tight. Interesting, huh? Okay. What can I say? Thanks for everybody that made Christmas happen liturgically at St. James. Our choirs, we had 2 choirs sing, and then cantors, and we had one of our lead cantors couldn't make it at the last minute because her husband got COVID. And then, of course, I mentioned Mike, Mary's husband, broke his ankle like a few days before Christmas. So he was our guitar man and spirit driver. And, he couldn't come. He was able to have surgery on his ankle yesterday. So they weren't sure if they were going to be able to operate or not, because anyway, they were able to. So now he's on the road to getting that healed. He's probably in the most pain he'll be in through the whole process, probably right now. So we say a prayer for Mike and everybody that's in pain. After the pain block wears off. So anyway, it was good. We had some nice liturgies. I think the 4 o'clock was. It was tough. I don't know. We got to maybe plan it logistically a little bit. I gave kind of my homily this Christmas was probably a little heavy. Some sad stories. Maybe at the kids' mass, maybe it was. I always like to talk to the adults, though. I don't want it just to be like a kids' mass about Bethlehem and donkeys and stuff. But anyway, so I think I felt a little self-conscious about that going in. And then at homily time, the children came up and I read around the altar, but there was, they were just kind of goofing around a lot. So, and they were behind me and they were making a lot of noise. And when I asked the kids in front of me questions, I could not hear their responses. And, I'm getting tired just thinking about it. So anyway, I don't, it doesn't bother me for my sake. I can, but I don't know probably people that came if it was the greatest experience. So I feel bad about that. But like any man, Jesus came. So that's why we come, for Jesus. So yeah, so we were worried. I think a lot of people like myself that were involved in when to have mass, we were so concerned that 4 o'clock would be just so crowded, because it has been pre-COVID. It wasn't. We had a lot of it's not like the church was half full. The church was full, but it wasn't packed. And we put up a lot of auxiliary seating in the gathering space and along the sides of the walls of church, and we didn't need any of it. So, yeah. So that, I just went, and then I went on Facebook, and I saw at night, and I saw families that looked like they were dressed up for church or for Christmas anyway, but I didn't see him, at church. I thought, So I don't know. I don't know if this is a shift in culture that's finally kind of come and hit St. James, or if some people say, well, it's so cold out, but I don't think cold tends to keep people away. Maybe some of our seniors were kept away for cold and fear of ice, and that's all legitimate stuff to have you stay home. So I think a lot of us we're just feeling a little bit like, there's I should review this so I know what it's really about, but there's this scene in a Fyodor Dostoevsky book called The Grand Inquisitor, and it's like Jesus comes back in the Middle Ages or early Renaissance, something, and he's kind of like, I'm back. This is the second coming, and he's met by a leader in the church, a Grand Inquisitor, like a cardinal, and he basically says, yeah, well, that's okay. We don't need you. And I'll review this. I'll correct myself if I'm so terribly misrepresenting this. But it's like, yeah, hi, Jesus. Yeah, it's nice you came back, but we don't need you. You can go back. And how chilling that is, that a churchman would basically reject Jesus. It made me, I'm thinking of it because I'm thinking like Christmas used to be, so packed and and it just wasn't, are we saying kind of in our culture, we don't need you? Or is it more of a critique on the church? We think we need God, but we don't need to come to St. James on Christmas Eve. So, and I just think of, I don't know, my mom always says, don't people know that, don't they miss the Eucharist, why would they want to leave and not have Eucharist? And it's kind of a pious thought, I know, but I do have that same image like of Jesus in that story I was talking about, the Grand Inquisitor. We don't need you. And I just see this kind of vulnerable Jesus just kind of standing there, like he's never going to force himself into our lives. We have to come to him. He's open arms. And like Jesus' presence in the Eucharist, is that kind of, here goes a jogger. Jesus' presence in the Eucharist, is it like, is he kind of there, vulnerable, and nobody's coming to him? I shouldn't say nobody. I mean, we had a decent attendance, but fewer people coming to him, and there he is. I want to be your bread of life. I want to feed you. So, I don't know where all that stands, but I personally think that, in the past, I think they used going to church as a club. Like if you don't go to church, it's a sin. You won't go to heaven. That I'm not really for that. But I think the church, with a lot of its rules, is like, well, is it good for you to go to church? Is it good for you to be faithful in a marriage? Is it good for you to, and it's kind of like, they say, okay, if it's good for you, we'll make it a rule. So is it good for you to go to church? Yeah. It's a time, it's an hour with your family or by yourself, to be with God, to honor God, to be fed by God, maybe to have a touch of inspiration in your life. How's that going to hurt you? It's going to help you in a lot of ways. Something stable in a real changing world, time to recollect your thoughts and feelings about your week and your life, and renew your call to follow Christ with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So, yeah. So I don't know if we need to, anyway, I don't want to overreact, but we didn't have really great attendance on Christmas. So, but it would, for Christmas, if it were a Sunday, it would have been great attendance. But I think Christmas is usually a lot bigger deal. Anyway, I don't mean to be too, all right, let's talk about other things about Christmas. So today we celebrated kind of a grisly feast. It was the Feast of the Innocents, Holy Innocents, the holy babies of Bethlehem that were slaughtered by King Herod's soldiers. He didn't want any competition for king, and he heard the king of the Jews was born in Bethlehem. Angel warned Joseph in a dream, take your child out of here, go to Egypt. Because Herod's sending his soldiers to kill all the babies. So he does, and there was this carnage in Bethlehem, and just horrific, huh? So soon after Christmas, in fact, the day after Christmas, it's the Feast of St. Stephen. And he's the first martyr. Then the 27th is the Feast of St. John the Evangelist, so not a martyr. And that's kind of a happy feast. And the Word became flesh, God is love, a lot of things we attribute to John that are so beautiful. I'm the resurrection and the life. But then the 28th is today, is a martyr. And tomorrow is St. Thomas Becket. He was Archbishop in England, martyr, like around 1200 or so. Stabbed and killed in a church. So, I suppose it's kind of a sign that this life we're invited to, that Jesus becomes a human being to live into that life and to experience, to walk in his light, which a lot of the readings talk about. Reading from the first letter of John in the daily masses, live in his light, the light, live in love. But to do that can often lead to confrontation with darkness, just as Jesus was confronted with darkness. And that led to the cross. When we really try to love, and not just being nice to others or polite, that's lovely, and I enjoy doing that when I can, and hopefully I always can. But when you see people treated poorly or discriminated against, or so many people starving in the world, and you kind of take on those powers and try to, speak on behalf of the poor. You don't hear a lot of politicians say a lot about let's help the poor. It just isn't. You don't get a lot of votes necessarily. People tend to vote for their self-interest, and the poor don't vote a lot. What are we going to do? The immigrants, a lot of refugees, the world's poor like that. To really be their advocates can get us into some conflict sometimes. And that, or just being true, isn't there assault on, I don't mean to get off on this real negative stuff, but martyrs tend to speak the truth to power. So John the Baptist told Herod Antipas, or one of Herod's children, that his marriage was illegal and immoral. And he just said that to his face. And he had his wife requested his head would be chopped off, St. Stephen was just preaching the truth of Christ to authorities that didn't want to hear it. He was stoned to death. I'm trying to think, Martin Luther King, not a Catholic martyr, but driven by his Christian convictions, was speaking the truth to power about equality, racial equality. He was shot to death. And there's just so much that's not true going around. I don't know if you followed the story about that politician out east. It was like his whole campaign, everything he said about his life, not everything, now I'm lying, but so much of what he touted in his resume was just false. He just lied. And it didn't seem to matter. He got elected, and they don't know what to do with that now, that all his lies have been exposed. Should he resign, or is it okay? It seems like they would say, well, it's okay, whatever. I think he said, well, people make mistakes. Remember, truth used to be like a mortal, or lying used to be I say used to be, but it's a bigger deal, I think, in the past. It's called a mortal sin, to lie, to misrepresent the truth, to evade the truth. It hurts your soul, and it does. Jesus says the opposite, right? The truth will set you free. But now it's just like, well, the truth, if we speak the truth, that might hurt my self-interest somehow. So it's okay, I'll just not. And I don't know, it just seems in politics more than any other place, it just doesn't seem to matter what people say, because people are so entrenched in their positions and they'll vote for whoever. But I don't know. Speaking the truth. But let's see, where are we at time-wise? 25, okay. Can I do this possibly? Man, I had a crazy 30 minutes. This probably isn't chat-worthy stuff, but I have this shaving. I like to shave with a brush now, and it's good to soak the brush in hot water, but I want to wait for it. So I got the shower going. I got the sink going until it was hot. I just thought it was kind of a funny story. So then I put the brush in, plug the sink so it'll soak in. hop in the shower. What I forgot to do was turn the sink off. So I turn the shower off, and I hear all this noise that I'm not familiar with. And it's all this water is flowing over to the sink, and it's soaking the floor. And I'm like, oh, it's going to drip down to the base. So I get all the towels out and soak it up, and try not to slip and all that stuff. So anyway, major crisis, I think, averted there. But just kind of stupid. And then I thought, oh, I got to get all this in the washer while it's all wet. So I carry it all over to the clothes washing machine there and throw other stuff in it and hit go. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go. Where's my phone? And I can't find my phone. So I have this little thing on my keys I can press, and it'll make the phone ring. And if the phone's not in range, it'll keep going doo-doo, 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 unstop. Well, it stopped. So it meant it sensed the phone, but I couldn't hear it. And I'm like, uh-oh, is my phone in the wash? So I turn the wash off, it unlocks. I take all this soaking, soapy stuff out one at a time to see if my phone's in a pocket or something like that. Thankfully, no. And I did find it, but it was quite a few minutes. Anyway, we have those things, don't we, sometimes? Whew. Hey. One more thing about being with people who are sad. I saw an article in the paper on the internet. How do we help people that are sad? And there's some pretty neat, interesting conclusions. I remember I went to a in-service once, presented by Professional Intuitive. It was kind of interesting. It was at UW Stout. A lot of counseling type people went there, and she looked at me in the audience and she said, "You look like a kind man," which I really liked that compliment a lot. But then I found out I didn't deserve it, because she said, let's just say I'm really sad and I'm hurting. And I come to you, I know I'm so sad, I'm hurting. What would you say to me? And I'd say, well, just hang in there. You'll feel better soon. Something like that. And she goes, oh no, now I'm hurting more. I said, well, really though, because feelings don't last forever. She's like, yeah, but I hurt now, and I'm just everything I said. She said, oh, now I feel worse. And I'm in a room of about 40 others, and I'm turning beet red, and I'm like, oh, so I'm dealing with people that are sad. So I thought this was an interesting article for me to read. Let me just share a couple bits of wisdom, because it's a great thing we can be companions to people that way. Best way to be with people who are sad, the headline was, start a conversation. Just start a conversation. People love words. They talk about yourself or talk about whatever. Ask them about what they're experiencing. There's a connection. There's a social dimension. It shows that you care. He said, still, however, some words matter. Some words matter. So, a study found that words like, this is what I should have said to that woman in that in-service, I can understand why you feel that way. Or, that sounds very hard. Actually, that first one I've been told not to say. Like, you shouldn't tell someone you understand, because it's their feeling. But anyway, that was in the article. Research said that was a good thing to say. Worst things to say would be telling people that they shouldn't feel so badly. Oh, don't feel so bad. Look around you. The sun's shining. Don't feel that way. But I do. I feel worse now because you didn't validate my feelings. Compared to customer service reps that might say, just relax or calm down. You're invalidating. It's not good. Sometimes if you're in a conflict, to tell someone, well, try to see the other side. Well, no. I remember my mom, I came home and the Joey Bursch had spit in my hair, and I said, Mom, Joey Bursch spit in my hair. And she said, well, things are maybe kind of rough for him at home. So she's trying to excuse. So it really made me mad. However, I remember that. I remember Mom's virtue, and I remember her saying you got to just consider the bigger picture of people's lives sometimes when they hurt you, So actually it was helpful, even though it made me upset in the time. But I like kind of what they said at the end. They said if the people are open to it, to strategize how they might feel better, how they might bring things around would be good. But this is in the conclusion. So although it can be hard to know how to best help someone, the study emphasized that we should be confident that our attempts will be appreciated, even if we don't know what we're doing. In other words, what matters most is not that you say the right thing, but that you are present and trying to help. We can make a difference to other people with relatively little effort, the researcher said. Sometimes just being there is all that you need to do. So that's kind of encouraging in the end. You don't have to memorize right things and stuff. And I think they didn't mention this, but I think just being there, the challenge of just being there is if you're comfortable with being sad yourself. And if you hate being sad and you can't stand being sad, and you fear it, you avoid it, you eat Cheetos instead of feel sad, or you do some unhealthy behavior not to feel your feelings, then you're not going to be a very good companion to others who are sad, I think. So that's the challenge, is to be okay with our own negative emotions, and then we can be present to others in theirs. Hey, I went over 30 minutes. Gosh, darn it. All right, God became human so we can become divine. More on that next week, hopefully. That's our great, marvelous exchange. I'll just let you take in the scene a little bit, and we'll sing a verse of a song. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep, on a cold winter night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. God bless you, and don't walk on the river. Bye now.